Well, good morning and happy Friday, Santa Clarita. Welcome in. You are listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 FM and 1220 AM. This is SCVi and iLead School's Eye on the Valley. I am your host, Matt Watson, and our show Eye on the Valley is brought to you by SCVi and iLead Schools. We are a network of charter schools with campuses on the west side of the valley, right there in Castaic. You know, technically our address is Castaic, but it's still considered Valencia. It's right there off the 126 there at the 5 freeway. So yeah, that's on the west side of town. Here on the east side of town, we've got iLead Agua Dulce, just up the 14 freeway. As a matter of fact, you know, I live right in the heart of Saugus, and iLead Agua Dulce and SCVi are kind of equidistant away from my house. So yeah, we've got an option on the west side, an option on the east side. If you're way up north, and I know our signal does go all the way up to the Antelope Valley, we've got several campuses up in Lancaster as well. And then for those of you virtual learners, we've got an online school, we've got a home study program. You know, we've got everything that your child needs to continue to learn and grow and set their course for leadership as they move into college and into career. Tell you what, go ahead and check us out at iLeadSchools.org. Yeah, pull it up while you're listening to the show today, and take a look around at the website. We've got 6 different schools, 8 different programs for your children to choose from. It's iLeadSchools.org. Take a look, figure out which school works best for your kids while you're listening this morning. We've got a great show in store for you. Yeah, we keep our eye on education, but we also keep our eye on the valley as well, bringing you everything you need to know about what's what here in Southern California. And, you know, we goof and giggle a little bit because, you know, sometimes the boss isn't listening, so we'll horse around and have a good time. So, you know, and I tell my boss, look, if I'm not laughing while I'm doing it, I'm just not doing it. So let's get started. Like I said, we've got a great one for you today. Here in hour number 1, we've got Daniel Prasch. Daniel is a science teacher. We call them facilitators just because of the way they approach their subject matter. But he's a science teacher at SCVi. That's that campus on the west side of the valley we were talking about. And he's also the lead for SCVi's Aerospace Career Education Pathway. And he and his students, they're just doing some exciting things, some incredible things. So we wanted to pull him in, got him out of his first couple of classes this morning, and he's in studio. We'll talk to Daniel in just a moment. And then in hour number 2, we've got some stuff to talk about. We got some exciting things going on here in Southern California, especially in the area of sports. So I know he just took a powder from his show, but we may wrangle Delgado back here in the studio and talk about the craziness that happened last night, some of the craziness that happened last Saturday. There's all kinds of fun things going on. It's a great time to be alive and be a SoCal. So, yeah, that'll be in hour number 2. And if you listen to the show with any regularity, you know that we're not allowed to wrap up the show without giving a little real estate to my big brother. He's kind of a train wreck, but Mom makes me put him on the show. And he calls in. He's got jokes and fun facts and trivia and you know, you never can tell what Big T's got, but it's called Big T's 5 Minutes of Fame. So yeah, going to be a great show. It'll be fun. It'll certainly be interesting. Let's go ahead and get started. Like I said, my first guest this morning is Daniel Prasch. Daniel is a science facilitator. It's funny, I say the word facilitator and people shake their finger at me. Oh, I know what you charter school guys do. You call them that because they're not real teachers. Not true. We have the same and in some cases more stringent requirements at charter schools than the traditional public school. All of our educators are duly credentialed and some extremely well hilted with their degrees, as is Daniel. But yeah, he's a science teacher, he's a facilitator, and he is the lead for SCVi's Aerospace Career Education Pathway, preparing our learners for high-paying, high-skilled jobs in the aerospace field. Daniel started his teaching career over the hill in Los Angeles, like I did, before moving to London, England, where he taught for 10 years, before returning back home to Castaic, where he grew up and is now teaching at SCVi. A skilled and passionate educator, Daniel brings tremendous energy and innovation to SCVi. He's traveled and lived all over the world, loves adventure, and even coached a high school rowing team, I understand. With his undergraduate degree from UCLA, he's a Bruin, and his master's from CSUN. He's a man of the world, but 100% local boy. He is Daniel Prasch. Daniel, welcome to Eye on the Valley.
Well, good morning, Matt. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
That is quite an introduction.
Well,
Thank you so much. You do too much.
You've got quite an interesting background. I want to talk about safaris and skydiving in Africa and things like that. But
Bungee jumping.
bungee jumping.
Yes.
Sorry.
Skydiving was in Las Vegas.
Oh, yeah. Well, my bad. Wow. But we've got a lot. You're also doing some incredibly exciting and well, out of this world stuff in the classroom here at SCVi. So let's start getting to know you a little bit. You've been an educator, like I said, for quite a while. Tell us what, a little bit about your path and what brought you to SCVi, the subjects you teach.
Yeah.
Give us a little recap.
Well, thank you so much. Yes. I've been a facilitator for nearly 15 years now. I've been very blessed to be well-traveled, and it was thanks to my studies at UCLA that opened up the world to me and set me on a course to live abroad for a while. So as you mentioned, I have taught in London for a number of years, teaching at a school in West London, specializing in physics. But I've also worked in schools in Uganda and in Cambodia. And honestly, being born and bred here in the Valley, I grew up in Castaic, and coming back to the Santa Clarita Valley, I really wanted to give back to my community. And what SCVi does that is unlike the other schools that I've been to is that it has such a phenomenal teacher to student ratio. That we really can be attentive to our learners and their needs in a way that just simply is not feasible in most other schools. So it really is not hyperbole when I say that SCVi is unlike any other school in the world. It truly is something special, and I'm very proud to be a part of it.
Wow, and apparently you would know. You've been a teacher on 4 different continents. That's incredible. So, so recently, you took a group of your learners to College of the Canyons. You went and visited a place that I've been fascinated by for a couple of years now, the Advanced Manufacturing Center. Can you tell our listeners what the Advanced Manufacturing Center is at COC and what your learners got to experience there? That's kind of cool.
Oh, yeah. It's a bit of a hidden gem of the Valley. I was made aware of it in being invited by the Dean of COC in our partnership with the Aerospace Advisory Council, and she invited us over. And the Advanced Manufacturing Center is their satellite campus that really serves students who want to get the hands-on experience for skills and trades in manufacturing, in milling, in welding, and many more. They've got a wealth of resources. They have robotics. They have virtual as well as real tools. Our students on this field trip were able to work with virtual welders and get assessed on how efficient their welding paths were. They were able to virtually paint airplanes with special coating that Boeing has for their stealth bombers and stealth fighters. And it was a really fun experience to see just the wealth of resources that they have provided to our community, and I have to give my hat off to COC as a former alumni. Not former alumni, as an alumni of COC. It is so nice to see how much COC is investing in our community. It's just one of many different skilled trade positions that they're providing educational.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. And you talk about high-skilled, high-paying jobs. Gosh, that's really preparing kids. Why do you think it's so important for learners to get hands-on experiences like that?
Oh, it's everything. Getting the hands-on experience and seeing it in the real provides the necessary context to make the connection for our learners that, hey, this is something that I can do. The fact that there were representatives from manufacturing companies, places like Northrop Grumman and Boeing there, gets to put a face to the name, and learners can start making those connections. And those connections are essential to making a very real path forward for our learners who want to pursue these highly skilled positions.
I love that. There's that saying that we as teachers don't like to repeat very often. It's not what you know, it's who you know, right? Because we, as teachers, we tend to think that what you know is pretty important. But those connections, like you said, can be extremely important. That's your foot in the door, as as they say. And I love that you're giving your students those connections. You joined us at SCVi just last year as we were, pun intended, launching a new CTE pathway. And if you don't know what CTE stands for, Dan's going to tell us in just a second. So can you help explain to our listeners what a CTE pathway is and why that's something that the state of California and us at iLead are really pushing?
Yeah. Well, when I was a student at Valencia High School, we had career paths, and I pursued several career paths in physiology, career paths in computer graphic design. But the CTE pathway is more than just career paths. It's career technical education. And I think that term technical education comes into play here because our learners aren't just learning the whatabouts of their career pathway. They are getting the skills needed that's going to help them be successful in that career. The career technical education pathway, there are multitudes of them that are offered all over the valley, but ours is unique at SCVi, which we'll get into in a moment. But it is a multi-year course. So there's your introductory pathway, and then there's your core elements, and then you have your capstone project in the third year. So our CTE pathway at SCVi is a 3-year course. And in general, the career paths that could be followed include hospitality, education, transportation, but ours here are aerospace. But the biggest advantage, I would say, is that our learners can leave some of these programs with certifications in those career fields. So, for example, for ours in the aerospace, our learners will be able to graduate with not only their Trust Pilot certificate, which is their drone pilot's license for non-commercial purposes, but also they will be getting a head start on a Python coding program with partnerships with Google. Being able to understand the language of Python and coding is the way forward for anyone who wants to have a career in computer sciences.
Yeah, or even adjacent, because more and more, even folks that aren't involved directly in computer science are being asked to do at least lower levels of coding and things like that. That is absolutely incredible. So we're not talking about college graduates graduating with these types of certificates and experiences. You're talking about getting out of high school with a drone pilot's license, with experience working coding with Google, flying drones, and a lot of other stuff that, it's that paradox, right? It's tough to get a job without experience, without certificates, but you can't get experience without a job. No, your high schoolers are going to be graduating with the experience, with the certification, with a leg up on even, folks, I'm going to say 4, 5, 6 years older than them as they're coming out of high school. That's amazing. So tell us a little bit more. You talked about kind of the basics of career technical education pathways. Tell us more about the aerospace pathway. What are some of the courses kids are taking? You mentioned the drones. What are some of the other projects kids are working on?
Yeah, so we've been working through the background information, give them a sense of the landscape of aerospace. They understand the availability of jobs that are out there, what kinds of jobs are going to be most attractive to them. We tell our learners that there's a 7-to-1 ratio in that when we talk about aerospace engineering, which is probably the most flashy of them, building rockets and testing them or flying them, flying ships. That can be quite exciting, but for many, the barrier to entry is quite high because of the level of education required. But this 7-to-1 ratio means that for every 1 PhD in the aerospace field, there are 2 engineers, but then there are 7 technicians who support all of these projects. So learners are really getting a sense that, if math isn't quite my thing, or if I don't want to go down and invest 4, 6, 8 years of my life in education, I have so many more opportunities to get highly skilled, highly paid jobs that are out there. we are just finishing up with a lot of the basic mathematical concepts and the physics that govern space flight and air flight. But we are stepping now into rocketry, and that's a really exciting one. So not only will we be working on computer simulations that are physics-based engines and applying the mathematical principles that they have learned and actually done the math for, they'll get to test those, but then we'll get to actually build some of our rockets. Our Aerospace 101 crews, I like to call them crews rather than students.
I love that, yeah.
Our Aerospace 101 crew, they will be working on stomp rockets and then water-launched rockets, where our Aerospace 201 teams will be following up with not just water rockets, but chemical rocketry. And we'll go down to the lake and we'll fire off some rockets, and we're going to have an exciting twist on the old egg drop project. So instead of just dropping an egg, we'll launch one up in the air and try and get it safely back down. But all the while, we'll be taking measurements, we'll be using tools, and we'll be running the calculations to determine its velocity, its maximum height, how much energy it had. So a lot of really cool things. You know, it's so important that these kids are going to have fun in our program, because that really builds the smiles, makes the memories, and then they're going to learn something while they're at it. So having fun in our curriculum is just as important to me as it is learning a lot of the fundamental skills. So why not do both?
Well, yeah, and obviously your kids are learning some high-level skills, right? These are all, formulas and theories and things like that I remember learning in high school, and it was so drab, and it was so boring. But your kids are learning this stuff while launching rockets and really doing some really cool stuff.
Oh, and so much more to come as well.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, we do have a lot more to talk about. We need to take a quick break, and then I want to get into some of the other things that you're doing. Daniel Prasch, science teacher and lead for SCVi's Aerospace Career Education Pathway. When we get back, we're going to talk about the aerospace work and learning that's being done, even with our elementary school learners at SCVi, as well as a project that Daniel's been running with his learners as they are dreaming up to space. Stay tuned. I'm Matt Watson. This is SCVi and iLead School's Eye on the Valley. You're listening to your hometown station, KHTS. Welcome back and happy Friday. You are listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 FM and 1220 AM. This is Matt Watson, and you are listening to SCVi and iLead School's Eye on the Valley. We're talking this morning with Daniel Prasch. He is a science facilitator, and Daniel, you were talking about the way you teach kids these advanced properties of physics and math and things like that, and I understand why you would be called a facilitator rather than a teacher, right? That teacher brings up the connotation of someone who is all-knowing, and they're pouring their knowledge into the kids, as to where at SCVi and honestly the rest of our schools set the stage for exciting learning opportunities, and you're just that facilitator who's facilitating the learning that the kids do. But anyways, you are a science facilitator and the lead of SCVi's Aerospace Career Technical Education Pathway, and you're doing some really exciting stuff. Before the break, you were talking about drones and rocketry and kids getting pilot licenses and certifications, all part of the Aerospace Career Technical Education Pathway. Daniel, you mentioned it's a 3-year pathway. It's a 3-year curriculum. I'm assuming that's 10th, 11th, and 12th grade?
They can start at any time.
Okay.
Whether it's freshman, sophomore, or junior year, just depends on when you want to get started.
Okay, well, fantastic. But the aerospace learning and the different hands-on projects that we were talking about aren't just limited to the high schoolers, are they? Y'all
right.
and your colleagues are rolling out some really cool aerospace-centered projects, even with the younger ones. Can you tell us what that looks like at SCVi?
Of course. Well, as exciting as it is to talk about the CTE pathway for the high school program, all of SCVi is participating in a kind of aero pathway program that drums up a lot of excitement for the aerospace industry. And our learners from TK through 7 are participating in projects that involve the science and engineering practices, but with a little aero pathway flair to it.
Okay.
So for example, some of our learners in 1 year are going to be focusing on flying drones and how drones operate. Other learners will be focusing on powered flight and non-powered flight, such as with gliders,
Okay.
so understanding the fundamental forces behind lift and drag and thrust and thermals and all the cool things that keep you up in the air, which I can talk way more on. A lot of fun with that with the glider project that happens later on. Lighter than air systems, other year groups are going to be working on. So year after year after year, our learners are going to be participating in science and engineering practices that are catered towards aerospace systems and flight.
Yeah, fantastic. So does that mean like are the learners kind of teaching each other? The older ones are teaching the younger ones, or they're just kind of stacking that learning as they go through? You mentioned from TK all the way through 12th grade.
Yeah. So one of the things that SCVi does differently than any other school I have visited is that they have these presentations of learning. And as a project-based school with our curriculum, our learners produce artifacts, they produce presentations, and then they're able to share that knowledge and information, that learning journey through their presentations. Mm-hmm. And these presentations of learning, or POLs, are specific days in which these classes invite other classes, other grade levels, to come to see what they have been working on and all the exciting stuff happening in their classrooms. And they have a little teachable moment where they get to teach younger learners about what they've been learning. They get to talk to the older learners about what they have done, and our older learners can relate their experiences as well. They can have conversations, and it's such a wonderful thing because it builds a community of a whole school rather than just sticking with your grade level. There's a lot of crosstalk between these year groups, and it's a phenomenal thing. It's a wonderful thing to see.
Yeah, and as a colleague of mine actually looked into these presentations of learning and did a little study of the learners at SCVi and estimated that if a child goes to our school from TK through 12th grade, they will have delivered over 80 public presentations, which is super important, right? That you're able to present your findings and speak with groups. The world, even for engineers, is just so interconnected now. But still, the number one fear of an adult in the world is public speaking, and that's something that's not a thing at SCVi, right?
Yeah. Well, practice makes perfect, and our kids get plenty of practice doing that. Lots of group-based projects, so our learners learn the essential skills of teamwork and communication, patience and cooperation, and these are the soft skills behind the hard skills that our kids need to know, and it's going to help them be successful later on in life, no matter what pathway they choose to walk in their life.
Absolutely, and you call them soft skills, but they are those essential skills that employers are looking for. Oftentimes, I'll hear hiring managers say, the technical stuff, if you come with that, great. But if you've got those soft skills, if you can collaborate, if you can learn, if you can share your findings, if you can lead a team, I can teach you what the business does, right? So that just makes them much more hireable, much more employable. So you mentioned the presentation of learning, and this year I think SCVi is inviting the public to join them as well, not just parents and other learners. The SCVi is inviting the public to learn more about the school from the learners as they present about aerospace. Is that correct?
Yes, that's right. So SCVi will have a TK through 7 aerospace presentation of learning, and this is going to be a great way for any interested families or community partners to learn more about SCVi.
Fantastic. So do you have information on the date, the time, when folks can come? Do they need to RSVP? I think it's just
of course. Yes, so our aerospace presentation of learning will be Friday, November the 14th, from 11:15 a.m. to 12:15 p.m. So please do come early so we can get you checked in at the front desk, but you can just show up and get signed in and enjoy the presentations.
Fantastic. So Friday, November 14th, you said it's 11:15 to 12:15, probably show up around 11 because there's going to be parents there and everybody signing in. We do make sure that we keep our campus safe and know who's on campus at all times.
Yes, of
course. So the public is welcome. Friday, November 14th, 11:15 to 12:15. At SCVi, and like I said, they are just on the west side of the Santa Clarita Valley, just off the 126 at the 5 freeway. You know what? Just Google us. It's SCVi. It's not that hard, friends. Come on. So, yeah, November 14th, you show up probably around 11 a.m. and you can see the amazing things. And, I want to put the call out to aerospace leaders here in the Santa Clarita Valley. You talked
We have
about
so many.
highly marketable positions and jobs that for every one PhD in the aerospace industry, there's 9 non-PhDs. Sure, everybody knows that we're driving distance from Edwards Air Force Base. We're driving distance in a lovely drive to JPL, but not everybody realizes there are well over 70 aerospace businesses that are headquartered here in Santa Clarita. So there's some local jobs here.
I'm so glad that you mentioned that because since taking on this position as the lead for the aerospace CTE pathway, I have met an incredible number of men and women working in the aerospace field. And it can really surprise you when you have those conversations with people in the park and on your walks. You get a sense that our region, Southern California and Santa Clarita Valley, is very well interconnected with the aerospace industry.
Yep.
I take my dog on walks to Summit Park, beautiful place across from Granary Square, and I have had the privilege of meeting several members of aerospace companies, including Mr. Matt Wallace, who's the president of Planetary Science, so the lead for Planetary Science at Jet Propulsion Laboratories. And our learners will be able to go on a walking tour of JPL when we get to those points. I have met members who work in defensive systems. I have family members as well who have worked for aerospace industry with Boeing. And it's until you make those connections with people and have those conversations, you really don't know what's out there. And so going back to the importance of building context, having on-site visits, our learners get to make those connections. They get to meet the people, and that can drive up a lot of interest. So we're really excited to see that happen.
Yeah, and that's, again, so amazing that not only you're making those connections, but then you're facilitating the connections with these industry leaders, with your learners in high school. And it just seems, no wonder SCVi decided to really, put all their chips in on this aerospace pathway, because not only are you preparing your kids for these high-skilled, high-paying jobs right after they graduate high school, but jobs that are right here in their own backyard.
Yeah.
So
I have to give a shout out. My neighborhood friend whom I grew up with, Nathan and Ryan Meshcott, they have a metallurgy business. They had actually machined the scooper that was sent on board the Curiosity rover on Mars. So right here in our own backyard, I believe they're at the Valencia Industrial Center, they machine the tools that our rovers are digging up soil on Mars. And it's just to think that our own backyard, the people are working on these projects and sending these things all the way off onto other planets. It's such an exciting industry. Santa Clarita is so well connected and such a wonderful place to have a program like an aerospace CTE pathway right here, because this is really the place to be if you want to get into the aerospace industry.
Yeah.
Perfect place.
Definitely. It really is. And talking about getting into the aerospace industry, you're guiding students that are, well, they're quite honestly already doing it. They're already not pretending, not studying, not researching. They are leading the forefront of aerospace research, design. You guided some students last year who worked on a project that was ultimately sent into space. Can you tell us about the Dream Up to Space project?
Yeah. Oh, what an awesome project. First of its kind that I've had the privilege to work with. With every science class, you have science experimentation. You learn about the scientific method. You learn about the engineering design practices. But here, our learners have the opportunity with Dream Up to Space program to design an experiment that will be testing the effects of some variable in a microgravity environment. In other words, up in space, up on board the International Space Station. So teams of learners come together. They propose their scientific inquiry to their classmates and to a panel of judges who then will get to decide and vote on which of these projects would be most viable, most exciting to learn about. And one lucky group will be selected to have their experiment designed and made into fruition to be sent up on board the International Space Station, have their experiment run, tested, results sent back down, and then they can evaluate the results. And these learners will get to partner with experts in the field, so they get to interview people who are spending many years of their lives focused on these questions, so they get to have those face-to-face interactions with the experts that then expand their knowledge, and that drives them towards having a stronger test design that will yield some really exciting results.
Yeah, gosh, I such an incredible opportunity. I can just imagine, one of your learners graduating high school and then showing up at JPL and saying, "Hey, I want a job here." And, as the interview's going on, tell us about your experience and your background. Well, yeah, I've got my drone pilot's license, and, I've got experience coding with Google, and I've got my CTE pathway certificate here, and getting a little pushback, right, from the hiring manager at JPL saying, "Okay, that's great, right? That's really helpful." But you do realize here at JPL, we're sending stuff into space and experimenting in space. And your 18-year-old going, "Yeah, I've done that too." Just absolutely incredible experience and career training that you're giving your learners. And I can't help but think somebody out there is listening, thinking, "Yeah, I definitely want to go out to that presentation of learning school." It's you said TK through 7th grade on November 14th, 11:15 to 12:15. Community is welcome to come take a look. But if somebody's, doesn't want to wait until November and wants to enroll their kids now, do they have to wait for that event? Can they? Are you guys still taking open enrollment?
No, they can register for a tour at SCVi's campus on our website at iLeadCalifornia.org. And there is room in some of our grades for some mid-school year enrollment. So if you would like to find out, any interested family or family members can fill out an application on our website, again, at iLeadSantaClarita.org.
iLeadSantaClarita.org. And like I said, I find it's usually just easier to Google SCVi, 4 little letters. I'm not the best typist, but click, 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 SCVi, and get on the website. You're right. Families can sign up to take a tour as early as next week and come see what the school's all about. Of course, we'd love for you to come out November 14th at 11:15 a.m. Get there early so that you can see our kids as little as the 4-year-olds all the way through 7th grade presenting what they're learning about aerospace and tracking toward this incredible career and technical education pathway that you offer to the high schoolers. So families are still able to enroll, or is it you're taking interest for next semester?
Well, no, we have some mid-year enrollment. We are getting some learners trickling in here and there. SCVi is welcoming learners across many ages, but there are some year groups that are filled up, so please do inquire and take a look at our website.
Okay, terrific. And one of the things that I love at your graduations every year is seeing that handful of learners that has been with SCVi from the time they were in kindergarten. Our TK kids, they haven't matriculated all the way up yet, but such an amazing and special experience to be able to attend the same school for 14 years and it just really helps bond those relationships that we talked about before.
Yeah, it really is a well-knit community. Feels a bit like a family.
Yeah, absolutely. A warm environment, and small school helps you get to know everybody on campus, and that's one of the things that really keeps our campus, I think, the most safe is everybody knows everybody, right? And when that kid is maybe just having a rough day or a little bit off, people notice and say, "Hey," and not "Hey man," they call them by name and what's going on? You seem out of sorts or whatever, and it's
absolutely. SCVi was the first time in my 15 years of education where I've learned everybody's names within the first week, whereas in other much larger schools, it takes me until Thanksgiving before I really know all of my students' names and don't have to rely on my seating charts. It really is wonderful to be able to interact with every single child every day. You're not missing any of the kids. You get to see them, you get to talk to them and have those interactions that make this time in their lives that much more special when they get to bond with their facilitators, with other staff at the schools. It really creates a nice, warm, welcoming educational environment.
Yeah, and again, it's that small student-to-teacher ratio that makes that all possible. Daniel Prasch, Science Facilitator and Lead for SCVi's Aerospace Career Technical Education Pathway. You're doing great things with our kids, providing them tremendous connection, tremendous education, and absolutely phenomenal opportunities and experiences. We're so grateful to have you at SCVi. Thanks for joining us this morning, and hey, have a tremendous weekend.
Well, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Well, you stick around. When we come back, we're going to be talking about what's going on in and around town this weekend. What are your plans this weekend? I am Matt Watson. You're listening to SCVi and iLead School's Eye on the Valley on your hometown station, KHTS. Welcome back and happy Friday. It is a spectacular Friday here in the Valley. You are listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 FM and 1220 AM. I am your host, Matt Watson, and you are listening to SCVi and iLead School's Eye on the Valley. We just spoke with Daniel Prasch. He is a science teacher, but if you heard the interview, you understand why we call them facilitators at SCVi. He is a science facilitator and lead for SCVi's Aerospace Career Technical Education Pathway. He's a brilliant science teacher, but his undergraduate degree from UCLA was in history, and history majors are the most beautiful people in the world. In fact, we're going to talk a little bit about history next hour, but I was talking about, I'm looking out the window here at KHTS, and it is just absolutely gorgeous out. It's going to be an amazing weekend. It's going to be a weekend to remind you why you pay so much to live here in Southern California. Absolutely beautiful. What have you got going on? What are you doing this weekend? If you're not sure, you need to head over to the KHTS website, hometownstation.com, and then you're going to click on Web Features. There's a little drop-down menu up there in the upper left-hand corner. Click on Web Features and then Things to Do in Santa Clarita. I love that KHTS always sets up, and I get the emails. Are you on the mailing list? You can sign up for the emails on the website as well, but I get the emails every Thursday night. It's great. Kind of sets up... this is actually, I think it's early Thursday morning they come out. But I don't remember. I just know that as I'm starting to prepare for the weekend, boom, it hits every week to remind me of all the great things going on in and around the valley. So I'm looking at that right now. You don't even have to head over to the website. Well, there's tons of other things there for you to look at. But here's what we got going on. It is, Jen, I was going to ask if you like Halloween, but then I just looked up and I see you're wearing a beautiful jack-o'-lantern sweater and you are ready for the holiday.
I'm ready. I appreciate these cooler mornings. I know it's going to burn off and it'll be, 85 or whatever it's going to be today for the high, but take advantage of the cooler weather while I can.
Yeah, everybody's pulling out their best sweater this week. But yeah, we've got Halloween stuff coming up. I'm not a huge fan of I like seeing the kids in their costumes and passing out candy, but I'm not into the scary. I don't do the boo. I'm that curmudgeon that doesn't dress up at work. So
that's okay, but you like Halloween candy at least, right?
Of course. Yeah.
Okay, all right. Well, then that counts.
Definitely. And we've got some Halloween events coming up here in the Valley. So there's just a great list of Halloween happenings in Santa Clarita, whether it's haunted houses or other fun events going on for kids and adults as well. So you can check out that again at hometownstation.com. What's happening in Santa Clarita? Burtech is having a job fair. Burtech is a fantastic company here in the Valley, and they're hiring for all different kinds of positions. So you can check them out. That is Saturday. That's tomorrow, October 11th, 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. As you're getting your weekend started. Head on over if you're looking for a job or a change in careers. Go see what Burtech is up to. They will be at the Spring Hill Suites, Valencia, for their job fair. And if you're looking for a little bit of fun this week, October 10th through the 20th, Circus Vargas is in town. Jen, when was the last time you went to the circus?
Oh, geez, I was a kid.
Okay.
I was a kid, yeah. It's been a long time.
Yeah, I before just 2 years ago, I don't remember that. You know what? I do remember. 7th grade was the last time I had gone to the circus. But a friend of mine and I were driving back from Santa Barbara, and we saw the Big Top, the Circus Vargas Big Top, and just on a whim, said, pull over, let's go to the circus. And fortunately, they hadn't started yet. They were starting in like a half an hour. Circus Vargas puts on a great show. And they've really updated, so many people out there are afraid of clowns, right?
I don't know why. Ask Stephen King, speaking of Halloween.
Right? But they've updated their concept of a clown. They've got this guy who just spends the entire show goofing off. He doesn't have his face painted. His hair's a little bit goofy, but he's hilarious. And of course, all the different acts and shows are just breathtaking. So yeah, go check out Circus Vargas. They're over at the Valencia Town Center parking lot for the next 10 days. You've got the Fine Art Festival in Old Town Newhall right here in downtown, October 11th and 12th. That is that's Saturday and Sunday, starting at 10 a.m. and going through the evening, 5 p.m. on Saturday, 4 p.m. on Sunday. That is the Old Town Fine Art Festival, Old Town Newhall Fine Art Festival here in downtown Newhall. The Purple Walk is coming up. That's the Child and Family Center's Domestic Violence Awareness Walk. It's a 5K, but you know what? So you don't even have to go the full 5K. Just wander in circles. And, that's Saturday, again, tomorrow, October 11th, 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. So head out and support their mission to end domestic violence. And there's so much more. I just keep scrolling. There's, magicians and family fun fireside nights at Vasquez Park and Fright Fest and nature hikes. There's so much happening. I don't have time. I'm running out of time to get it. You know what? Turns out you do need to head over to hometownstation.com yourself and see what's going on this weekend in Santa Clarita. Whatever you're doing, it's going to be an absolutely stunning weekend. Get out and enjoy it. Go to hometownstation.com to see what's happening. I'm Matt Watson. You're listening to SCVi and iLead School's Eye on the Valley on your hometown station, KHTS. Welcome back. You are listening to your hometown station, KHTS, 98.1 FM and 1220 AM. This is Matt Watson, your host, and you are listening to SCVi and iLead School's Eye on the Valley. We had an amazing interview with Daniel Prasch. I'm just floored by all the stuff that Daniel and his students are doing out at SCVi. They have, they launched last year their aerospace pathway, their career technical education pathway in aerospace, preparing students for high-skilled, high-paying jobs in the aerospace field. We were talking about it, not just upon graduation, but he's getting his kids involved in some of these projects and space exploration well before they even graduate high school. And so, yeah, doing some exciting things. And I mentioned that Dan, he's a science teacher, but he was a history major in college. And everybody knows that history majors are the most beautiful people on the planet. That is science, not opinion. But yeah, so you know that Daniel will appreciate that we're going over this date in history. Today is Friday, October 10th, 2025. And on this date in 1767, the Mason-Dixon line was created. Believe it or not, before our nation was even founded. On October 10th, 1767, Charles Mason and Jeremiah Dixon completed their survey of the boundary between the colonies of Pennsylvania and Maryland. Of course, it was a land dispute between the families Penn and Calvert. Calvert, a British noble family that had set up shop there in Maryland, and of course, William Penn, the Penn family, Pennsylvania. They had a land dispute, and so they hired the surveyors, Charles Mason and Jeremiah Dixon, to formally establish the boundary between Pennsylvania and Maryland. And you're probably familiar with that Mason-Dixon line that finally settled the boundary at a northern latitude of 39 degrees 43 minutes. The line was marked using stones, with Pennsylvania's crest on one side and Maryland's crest on the other. And of course, that line would become foundational in establishing both the physical and metaphorical divide between the northern free states and the southern slave states that was so impactful in our nation's foundation and upbringing. On October 10th, 1845, the U.S. Naval Academy opened. That's right, the United States Naval Academy opened in Annapolis, Maryland, speaking of Maryland, with 50 midshipmen students and 7 professors, known as the Naval School until 1850. The curriculum included mathematics, navigation, gunnery, and steam. chemistry, English, natural philosophy, and French. The naval school officially became the U.S. Naval Academy in 1850, but it was founded in 1845 on October 10th. Also October 10th, but 1877, Colonel George Armstrong Custer's funeral was held at West Point. On October 10th, 1877, the U.S. Army held the West Point funeral with full military honors for Lieutenant Colonel George Armstrong Custer, killed the previous year in battle in Montana by Sioux and Cheyenne Indians at the Battle of Little Bighorn. Custer's body had been returned to the east for burial, and he was finally laid to rest on this date in 1877. Jumping into the 20th century now, on October 10th, 1940, St. Paul's Cathedral was bombed. Pretty crazy. During the Battle of Britain in World War I, the German Luftwaffe, say that one, Luftwaffe. Isn't that the little caramel cookie that you can get on the airplane sometimes?
Or maybe a side dish, something like that.
No, that's the German Air Force. The German Luftwaffe launched a heavy nighttime air raid on London, and the dome of St. Paul's Cathedral was pierced by a Nazi bomb, leaving the high altar in absolute ruin. It was one of the few occasions that the 17th century cathedral suffered significant damage during Germany's nearly ceaseless bombing raids on the capital of England. But I got to think that dome just provided the perfect target for the German Air Force pilots in the Luftwaffe. So yeah, 1940 St. Paul's Cathedral bombed in London. Also, speaking of London, on October 10th, 1971, the London Bridge reopened. Why was it closed, you say? Well, if you're familiar with your Bullhead City history, the London Bridge reopened after being completely dismantled and reconstructed in Lake Havasu City, Arizona. Used in the UK for 600 years. The bridge still features lampposts made from, I love this. So, do you know about this one,
No.
Jen? It was built almost 700 years ago now, and it was the famous London Bridge, but it was in disrepair, and Lake Havasu decided that, don't throw it away, we'll buy it from you. So they bought the London Bridge. It was disassembled, reassembled there over Lake Havasu. But to this day, the light posts are still made from the melted down cannons that were captured by the British troops from Napoleon's army in 1815.
Wow.
How you like
That's
that?
incredible.
That's kind of a little bit of salt in your wounds,
It's kind of
right?
like sticking it to you. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, not
Check
only are we
this
gonna,
out. Look at what you did with your stuff.
right? We're going to light the London Bridge.
So is that where is it technically a nursery rhyme? London Bridge is falling down?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
where
it was
that's
in
coming
ill
from.
repair.
Yeah.
And you finished the nursery rhyme. Let's sell it to Arizona. Yeah.
Nice ring to it.
Right, exactly. Just a couple years after the London Bridge came to Arizona, on October 10th, 1973, Vice President Spiro Agnew resigns. Less than a year before Richard Nixon resigned as President of the United States, his Vice President, Spiro Agnew, resigned in disgrace. And no, it had nothing to do with Watergate or political fraud or a break-in or the cover-up or anything like that. He actually pled no contest to a charge of federal income tax evasion in exchange for prosecutors dropping the charges of political corruption. Tricky Dick's his entire administration was just, they were dirty.
Yeah.
They were dirty. And so, he pleaded to the lesser charge of federal tax evasion. And he was sentenced to 3 years probation and disbarred by the Maryland Court of Appeals. He was also fined $10,000 on this date in 1973. Jumping ahead to 1985, October 10th, 1985. U.S. naval fighters. This one's a little bit longer story, but I find it interesting. I remember growing up as a kid, this story. On October 10th, 1985, U.S. naval fighter jets intercept the Italian cruise ship hijackers. So if you remember, if you're as old as I am, the Achille Laurel, do you remember? You're not that old, Jen. So yeah, on October 10th, 1985, the hijacking of the Italian cruise ship Achille Lauro reached its dramatic climax when the U.S. Navy F-14 fighters intercepted an Egyptian airliner attempting to fly the Palestinian hijackers to freedom and forced the jet to land at a NATO base in some city that I can't pronounce in Sicily. American and Italian troops surrounded the plane, and the terrorists were taken into custody. What had happened is just 3 days earlier, on October 7th, 4 heavily armed Palestinian terrorists hijacked the cruise ship in the Mediterranean Sea off the coast of Alexandria, Egypt. It's just a regular passenger cruise ship. They had docked in Egypt, and fortunately, most of the cruise ship passengers were off in Egypt enjoying, Alexandria. And these 4 guys, heavily armed, stormed the ship, got on, and took the crew and some of the passengers that were still on board captive. There were 320 crew members, 80 passengers that were still on the ship, and they hijacked the cruise ship, forced them to sail off. Yeah, it was nuts, and it was a pretty wild time. And remember, this is kind of the height of airplane hijackings and things like that. They hijacked a passenger cruise ship. So, yeah, like I said, hundreds of other passengers had disembarked and were visiting Cairo and the Egyptian pyramids. But these 4 hijackers, identified themselves as members of the Palestine Liberation Front, a Palestinian splinter group. The gunmen demanded the release of 50 Palestinian militants imprisoned in Israel. If their demands were not met, they threatened to blow up the ship and kill the 11 Americans on board. The next morning, they also threatened to kill the British passengers. They were really pushing it, and it got really aggressive. I remember it just completely dominated the news cycle for about a week.
Yeah,
the Achille Lauro traveled to the Syrian port of Tartus, where the terrorists demanded negotiations on October 8th. Syria refused to permit the ship to anchor in its waters, which prompted more threats from the hijackers. That afternoon, they actually did shoot and kill one of the hostages, Leon Klinghoffer, a 69 Jewish American who was confined to a wheelchair as a result of a stroke. So he goes on this cruise and ends up getting murdered, assassinated by these terrorists, and then his body in its wheelchair just pushed over the side. Right? That's the reaction of the world at the time. And on the recommendation of negotiators, the cruise ship traveled to Port Said. On October 9th, the hijackers surrendered to Egyptian authorities and freed the hostages in exchange for a pledge of safe passage to an undisclosed location. So, they set up a jet to fly them. They were going to give instructions to the pilots once they got on the plane. The next day, October 10th, the 4 hijackers get on the Egypt Air Boeing 737. Shortly thereafter, they were intercepted by U.S. F-14 Tomcat fighters. Here come the good guys. And they were forced to land in Sicily, where they were surrounded and arrested. It was kind of cool. As soon as they took off, the F-14s kind of closed in with their lights off and just kind of trailed them for about an hour before they
I love
decided
those kind of moves, yeah.
Boom. All right, now it's time. You light them up, and you can imagine like the blue and red lights.
Yeah. Nobody wants to see that.
They tell them, all right, you're going to land in Sicily, where they were, like I said, promptly surrounded. The hijackers were eventually convicted and sentenced to 15 to 30 years in prison each. There was actually a minor, a 17-year-old, among the hijackers who got the lightest sentence.
That's incredible. There has to be a documentary or several
I'm
about
sure
this out there.
Yeah, if you can spell Achille Lauro, then you can find it. Just 1985 cruise ship, or just cruise ship hijacking. I'm sure you'll be able to find it on Netflix or something like that. Yeah, incredible story. Anyways, back to this date in history. On October 10th, 2004, Superman died.
Oh.
Yeah. Christopher Reeves dies at age 52. The actor Christopher Reeve, who not only became famous for starring as his role in Superman, he became synonymous as Superman. He died from heart failure at age 52 at a hospital near his home in Westchester County, New York. Reeve, who had been paralyzed after a 1995 horseback riding accident, was a leading advocate for spinal cord injury research and fundraising. He passed away on this date in 2004 at age 52.
And that documentary is heartbreaking, especially for people of our generation that grew up with him as their quote unquote Superman. What a heartbreaking story, obviously. But he was so, even after the fact, most people would just say, forget this, I'm done even trying. And this guy not only tried, but he created the, whatever the, what's the right word I'm looking for? Organization, if you will.
Okay, I will.
The, awareness around his issue. And they're still to this day raising money for the injury, to kind of help people work through that. Obviously, he met with people who experienced the same injury that he had. He did so much instead of just rolling over and feeling sorry for himself.
Absolutely.
He's great.
And like I said, not only did he star as Superman, he was this stunningly handsome,
he was
nice
he was
guy,
perfect. Yeah.
kind of pure all-American.
Yeah.
He really was, in many people's eyes, a metaphorical Superman.
Yeah.
And we lost him on this date in 2004. And 10 years later, in 2014, October 10th, 2014, Malala, I'm gonna butcher her last name, but y'all know Malala Yousafzai.
You've been saying these other big words, Matt.
Right,
You've been
I
know. Great.
But
You've got this.
Well, she's like Madonna, like Cher, like Prince. She goes by Malala, right?
Sure.
Right. 17-year-old Malala won the Nobel Peace Prize on October 10th, 2014. Yeah, and what are you doing with your life, Jen?
Really.
She's an activist. She won the Nobel Peace Prize, a fierce advocate for girls' education in her native Pakistan and around the world. She's the youngest ever Nobel laureate. Malala was in chemistry class when she learned that she had won the Nobel Peace Prize. And very, very, very exciting.
Jeez.
And she continues to fight for women's rights, especially in the area of education around the world. Very inspiring. That is this day in history, October 10. Today is October 10th, 2025, but in a little bit more recent history, on October 9th, 2025, the Dodgers clinch the divisional championship and head on to the league championship series. That's right, the Dodgers survived and move on in the playoffs. You know what? We gotta lay this out. Did you watch the game last night, Jen?
I saw bits and pieces of it. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I had one ear
incredible
on
game.
it.
Went 11 innings. Let's get Delgado in here. I know he was watching, and let's lay it out. It was an absolutely incredible game. If you missed it, you got to go back and find a way to watch the replay. It's just a stunning game. We'll recap it for you when we get back. I'm Matt Watson. This is SCVi and iLead School's Eye on the Valley. You're listening to your hometown station, KHTS. Welcome back. You are listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 FM and 1220 AM. This is Matt Watson, and you are listening to SCVi and iLead School's Eye on the Valley. And if you were listening last segment, we brought Delgado back from Good Morning Santa Clarita because I know he's got something to say about what we're going to talk about next. Delgado, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. Good morning.
Of course. I was going to ask a stupid question. You're rocking your Dodgers jersey. You're rocking your Dodgers hat.
Dodger Friday here.
You were watching the ball game last night, were you not?
Yes, at the edge of my seat. I don't think I fully sat in my chair the entire game.
Right.
On the edge of my seat.
And then that final play, I almost fell out of my seat. It was incredible. Let me start off. I'm going to go all the way back to Saturday and build this up in case, folks have been, I don't know, on the moon or otherwise just not following the series because, this is a time where non-baseball fans start to get involved in baseball. And, the World Series is coming close. We still have we've got a couple of divisional rounds still playing out before we get to the league championship series. But, the Dodgers went to Philadelphia for a 5-game series against the Phillies, who are actually a phenomenal team. They've had an incredible year, fueled by some pretty strong bats as well as some incredible left-handed pitching. And left-handed pitching has kind of been the hobgoblin of the Dodgers' bats this year. They struggle with the lefties a little bit. But so last Saturday, for 2 games, they went out to Philadelphia, and the idea is you're playing 2 games. The other team's got the hometown advantage, right? Because you got 2 in Philly, 2 in LA, and then 1 going back to Philly for the 5-game series.
And that's an advantage. Philadelphia sports, just all Philadelphia sports, they are ruthless. Their fans come out, and that is a sports town through and through.
They
And
cheer
talk
their
about a
teams.
home
They
advantage.
boo Santa Claus.
They did boo Santa Claus.
So, yeah, Philly fans are nuts, and you're right. That is one of the best hometown advantages in professional sports. So the idea is you go to Philly for 2 games, you got to try to steal at least 1 game, right? So they open up game 1 on Saturday, and the Dodgers beat the Phillies. Mission accomplished, right?
Yeah, you said you have to take 1,
Right.
and you're good with losing 1 of the 2. But if you can take 1, that is a major win again, especially in Philadelphia, to come back home, because you only need 3
Right.
to advance. in
Right.
this
So if you
series.
can get 1 at home, you come back, or 1 on the road, come back home, and you can clinch. So they get game 1, and now the pressure is on Philadelphia, not the Dodgers. And you mentioned you almost don't care if you lose game 2, which I think was Dave Roberts, the manager's attitude, because the Dodgers jumped out to a 4-1 lead, and they took a 4-1 lead into the 9th inning, and you got Roki Sasaki, the phenom who's coming back off the injured list. He started out as a starting pitcher, but just didn't have his stuff all beginning of the season.
No, and had some injuries there, and kind of just wasn't in the right headspace. He even said, "Can you work on my mechanics and make me a MLB pitcher?" Because he was an international sensation, but he said, "Get me right for this league, for what I'm facing now." They said, "Okay." Sent him down to the minors, worked with him, and now he's back in full force and kind of has maybe found his spot.
Well, yeah, they sent him to the bullpen. He's not starting anymore. And so heading into the playoffs, we got this fireball thrower, 23 years old, coming out of the bullpen. Dodgers are up 4-1. You bring in Roki and close it out. No, you don't. They brought in Blake Trinan, who's been an absolute gas can of a relief pitcher over the last couple of months. And, of course, he gave up a couple of hits and ultimately turned into a couple of runs. And now you're up 4-3. Then they brought in Alex Vesia, who was not great either. No. He allowed that second run that was attributed to Trinan to come across. And now we're 4-3 and at the brink of blowing this 4-1 lead and 2-1 lead in the series. And then they finally went to Roki Sasaki to come and close it out.
And it was kind of wild, the first 2 games there. Both, obviously, great pitching on both sides. But the offense really came in the 7th inning for both the Dodgers in both games. But then almost gave it away in the 8th inning.
Oh, it was incredible.
Both games. And that's, due to starting pitching was great for both sides. But then we bring in our bullpen, and that has plagued the Dodgers all season long, especially the last couple of weeks.
Oh, yeah.
And in the 8th inning to set up for that closer, who we didn't really know who that was going to be. And I say we as the Dodgers, because we really haven't defined that person yet.
And it had been defined as Tanner Scott, right? They said Tanner Scott was going to be the closer, and as it turns out, he had a lower body abscess that has now sidelined him not only for the final game against the Phillies, but for now this league championship series. So it looks like, and I'm hoping that's what's going to be the case, that Roki Sasaki will be our closer. Because the Dodgers did come back to L.A. For games Wednesday and Thursday. We were not successful on Wednesday and ended up, interestingly, the road team won the 3rd game in a row. And so now the Dodgers were on top 2-1. And the idea is, okay, game 4, you still got a 1-game advantage, but you can't lose game 4 because then you go back to Philadelphia, which is that significant advantage. And
the Dodgers did not want to go back to Philadelphia at all.
No.
You did not. With riding that momentum of winning 2, you're down 2, so the Phillies already had their backs up against the wall, and they fought. They got game 3.
Yep.
And you did not want to give them that momentum to go to game 5 at all.
Absolutely not. And so, yeah, Dodgers come out last night, and as my good friend Cesar Serrano would say, once again, Dodgers bats cansados. The bats were asleep. They did not hit extra. Well, they did get the bat on the ball. Got a couple of hits. I think they got a hit in the 1st inning, a couple of hits the 2nd inning. And, and even, when they weren't getting hits, they were hitting the ball well, just right at the Philadelphia defense.
And they were making great plays. Again, Philadelphia going into it. The first series against the Reds, it was kind of, okay, Reds got there, good for you.
Right.
where Dodgers are just going to blow past you. And then you're like, okay, now we have the Phillies. Okay, this is going to be a series. Because on paper, we don't know who's going to win. It was almost 50-50.
It really was. It really was. And they even though he was getting touched up a little bit, the Phillies starter, Christopher Sanchez, just threw a dandy. Just pitching incredibly well. He would get himself into some trouble and then find a way to get himself back out of trouble. And he was able to hold the Dodgers scoreless for the first 6 innings, and then the Phillies put up a run in the top of the 7th.
Yeah, and it wasn't the long ball that wasn't there. It was that small ball that kind of what people say are boring. What is boring about baseball? Kind of just that
Right.
double and here and there. But it's for baseball fans. I'm sure you and I we loved it. It was a pitching duel, and that's not the prettiest thing out there.
No, but I love a
was
good
great.
pitching duel. It was phenomenal. And then Sanchez came back out in the 7th, and just incredibly exciting. But I was stressed, right? Because the Dodgers are down 1-0 in the 7th. But again, they, like you said, a little bit of small ball, a walk, a base hit, an intentional walk, and then eventually, we walk a run in when they walk Mookie Betts, and so that gets the Dodgers, back tied 1-1, and that's kind of the tail of the tape, kind of the story for the next 4 innings. 9th inning comes and goes, and we couldn't walk it off in the 9th.
No, and yeah, Roki Sasaki, as we mentioned, came in because that was everybody like, okay, that was the unofficial official closer,
Right?
And he came in the 8th, and I think it was 8 pitches in the 8th, so it's
Yeah.
like fantastic.
So he's ready
and
to
then
go.
in the 9th, I think he threw another 9.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, so he ended up going 11 or through the 11th inning,
Yeah.
3 innings, which really he doesn't really do, but he was pitching phenomenal and had his stuff out there.
He was on fire. And then, all right, so now we get to the bottom of the 11th inning. And it was just, like you said, you talk about small ball. This is tiny ball. And I was going to say, if you're going to win a game, this is a weird way to win it. If you're going to lose a game, this is the absolute worst way to lose it.
You do have the call if you want to.
Oh, you got the
Yeah.
call? Okay, so let's set it up first. You've got that final at bat, right?
Yes.
So Freddie Freeman starts off the inning for the Dodgers. He struck out, and so I'm getting a little nervous now. I was hoping Freddie would just hit a bomb and walk it off, right? Because now we're starting to get into the bottom of the lineup. Tommy Edman, he had a home run in Game 3. He steps up, he singles to left center. And then he gets a pinch runner. Hae-Sung Kim, love me some Hae-Sung Kim, and that kid has got wheels. So now Hae-Sung Kim is out on first base. Will Smith lines out. So now we got 2 outs. Max Muncy steps in and singles, moves Hae-Sung over to third. We got first and third, and then we bring in a relief pitcher. Muncy he sort of stole second base.
Yeah,
they didn't
fielders
bother
and
to
difference
throw.
didn't really
Right.
mean anything, so they kind of just let him go.
Right. Now you got first base open, and
Mm-hmm.
Kike Hernandez comes up, and Kike has been labeled the new Mr. October. I'm calling him Clutch Kike.
I like that. Yeah.
He seems to only get hits with runners in scoring position, and I thought, all right, here we go. And they put him on. They walked him because first base was empty.
Yeah.
And so here we are, bottom of the 11th inning, tied 1-1. The Dodgers have 2 outs and bases loaded. And Jen, what happened?
Pajes breaks his bat. Kirkering gotta find it. Throws to the plate. Oh my goodness! He throws it away, and the Dodgers have won. The Dodgers win, and they are moving on to the NLCS. And a most improbable finish. Pandemonium at Dodger Stadium.
And that was the call. Pandemonium at Dodger Stadium once again.
Pandemonium, as Randy Newman sings, I love LA. Incredible. That's if you missed it, Andy Pajes was up, and he hits just an absolute nubber, just a nothing burger back to the mound, right?
Oh yeah, and again, you've seen this play 1,000 times, if not more than that, a season. It's just right there. All the pitcher has to do is just pretty much bend over, field it,
Scoop it up, and
maybe
his
even
decision
look
is:
around a little bit.
do you want to flip it to home
Yeah.
to get the force out at home? Do you want to get the easy one at first base?
And if he threw it to first base, even though the run was obviously going to score. That was out.
Doesn't count. Yeah.
It doesn't count.
Yeah,
and then
we
you,
go to
you
the
move
12th
on.
inning.
Yes.
Yeah, one of the easiest plays in baseball. But clearly, he was so focused on getting the batter out that when the ball came back to him, it was just excuse the expression. It seemed to me to be just a brain fart. He was not prepared to defend.
And it wasn't a clean. I think this is what was important. It wasn't a clean grab off the ground. So it kind of was at his feet, and it came fairly quickly, but not unusually fast.
What was it? A two hopper back to the mound.
So it came right back to him at his feet, but it wasn't a clean grab off the ground.
No, he fumbled it.
He fumbled it a little bit, and in that split second, he was like, "Oh no!" I'm sure a lot of things went in his mind.
His mind has got to be going a million miles an hour.
And then he just, tossed it, and it was an error.
Do I go to first? Do I go home? And after fumbling the play, he tosses it to first, and Hae-Sung Kim just burning, and almost ran the catcher over.
And actually, Kim missed missed home plate.
Yeah,
but he knew it right away and came back right away.
Yeah.
So if the catcher caught it and obviously missed it and was just high and tagged him again, they would be going on to the next one,
right,
or to the next inning at least.
Incredible. And I've got a couple of friends that are Phillies fans. Going into the playoffs, I had my eye on the Phillies. They were the team that I was most worried about with those left-handers and the way Dodgers hit left-handers.
Yeah.
Playing once again in Philly.
And having bats like Schwarber, and last game, game 3, he hit an absolute towering shot out of Dodger Stadium.
Out of Dodger Stadium, they say it was the 5th longest home run in Dodger Stadium history.
And I don't know if I jinxed it. I'm going to say I did because I was watching the game and I'm like, oh, he hasn't hit a home run yet. I think he might be.
What are you doing?
Up here. Doing? And then sure enough, like 2 pitches later, he hit the longest home run I've seen in recent history.
Oh, man. So now we've got the Dodgers have moved on. The Dodgers are going to the National League Championship Series. Over in the American League, the Yankees are out.
Yes.
Yankees lose.
The
Yankees lose again. And the Blue Jays moved on. So the Blue Jays are waiting to see who they're going to play. Blue Jays did the same thing the Dodgers did. They won their series 3-1, so they get a couple days rest, and they're waiting for the winner of tonight's game between the Detroit Tigers and the Seattle Mariners.
I'm rooting for the Mariners. It's fun to. We haven't seen the Mariners ever almost this far. Or I haven't in recent years.
Right.
And they just seem like a fun, scrappy team, and they have maybe the best catcher nickname.
The Big Dumper.
The Big Dumper, as he is known.
Their catcher is known as Cal Raleigh. His nickname is the Big Dumper. He's done something that no catcher in history has ever done.
No.
He's got over 60 home runs. I think he ended the regular season with 60. He's had a couple in the postseason. He's just on fire, and I'm cheering for him to win the American League MVP. Of course, Aaron Judge for the Yankees had another phenomenal season. Can't take that away from him. But yeah, the Big Dumper did something. It's so tough. People that aren't avid baseball fans don't realize how difficult it is to catch a baseball game. You're squatting down.
You're squatting the whole game.
The whole game, and it's just incredibly physically taxing. And then, to go and do that for an entire season, plus be the incredible powerhouse behind the plate, hitting over 60 home runs.
Should I ask where and how he got this nickname?
Well, when you're in the gym and you do a lot of squats.
Sure.
Yeah.
What that leads to.
Okay.
Yes, that's exactly what it is.
He's the male Jennifer Lopez.
He is. He is Cal Raleigh. He is the Big Dumper.
All right.
They'll be playing. Seattle will be playing Detroit tonight to see who goes on to play Toronto. Of course, the Dodgers are waiting to see who they'll get. The Cubs are making a case. The Cubs, after losing the first 2 games to the Milwaukee Brewers, who have been the best team in baseball all year long.
Yeah, all year.
Yeah, the Brewers have been playing incredibly well and went up 2-0 and figured they'd go back to Chicago and close it out, with a win in Chicago. But the Cubs have held serve. They won both games in Chicago. Last night they won 6-0.
Yeah, it was a blowout, and just like Philadelphia, Chicago is one of those sports towns, again, especially Wrigley Field, that's their extra man, and the crowds were out yesterday just bringing that team to life there early, because they jumped out early. I think it was 3-0.
Yeah.
And it was just an absolute show out there.
But even though they jumped out early and went up 3-0, that's still a nail biter for this year's Cubs, because game one they got a home run in the first inning, and we thought, okay, Cubs are going to do this, and of course, the Brewers come back and put up a couple of runs in the first inning of their own, and I got a Cubs fan of a friend who's texting me going, oh, here we go again. And then game two, Cubs weren't satisfied with 1 run in the first inning. They score 3 runs in the first inning. Brewers come back in the bottom of the first inning and took the lead again. So when the Cubs were up 3-0, it seemed like, okay, this is not a safe enough lead. But they were able to hold it, go on and win 6-0. So we'll see what we get on Saturday when the Cubs and the Brewers
tomorrow.
Yep.
And then game one between the Cubs or the Milwaukee Brewers against the Dodgers for the NLCS is going to be on Monday.
Monday the Dodgers play.
Yes, Monday the Dodgers do
Okay,
play.
so I love it. Whoever they're getting is only going to get 1 day's rest between what's going to be an exhausting game, win or lose, on Saturday. So I love that they're going to come in taxed against the Dodgers. Both these teams have played the Dodgers well this year. Who do you prefer? Who do you want to see in the NLCS versus the Cubs or the Brewers?
I would say Cubs, because just the Brewers have been solid
Yeah.
all season long, and
But the
they've
Cubs,
just been riding that. But
they,
the Cubs, they get hot.
They beat us, 6 games?
Yeah, that too.
This year. So the Dodgers have not gotten a single victory against the Cubs this year.
It's going to be difficult. Again, the Phillies, I didn't want to see the Phillies
Right.
at all. But,
So,
and that was tough. But it's going to be tough. But out of the two, I'd probably say the Cubs.
So we've got game one on, you said, Monday.
And I believe
We've got Blake
Tuesday
Snell
is
is going to be pitching on Monday. And then we've got Shohei Ohtani going on Tuesday. So we got Blake Snell, and former Cy Young winner and probably the best pitcher on the Dodgers staff, followed by the greatest baseball player that ever lived in Shohei Ohtani. So it's going to be fun.
It's going to be fun. And, again, you can hear that here live. On
Right here
KHTS
on
FM
KHTS. Absolutely. You catch all the Dodger games here on your hometown station. Speaking of Dodger fans, we got Big T. He's coming in. Big T, give us a buzz. It is time for Big T's 5 Minutes of Fame here on your hometown station, KHTS. Welcome back. You are listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 FM and 1220 AM. Happy Friday. This is SCVi and iLead School's Eye on the Valley. I am your host, Matt Watson, and just a little quick recap of the show. We had Daniel Prasch. He is a science teacher and lead of the SCVi Aerospace Career Technical Education Pathway. He's got his kids getting their drones pilot license, learning to fly drones, fly gliders. They're getting their Google coding certificate. He's just graduating them from high school, ready to go straight into careers in the aerospace industry. We talked about this day in history. We talked about the Dodgers. We talked about what's going on this weekend. And I can't believe that I fumbled this one. We talked about, and you just heard about it on the commercial, the big one is back. Circus Vargas is in town. And I can't believe I neglected to mention one of the amazing acts, the acrobat act there at Circus Vargas, is an iLead family. We got a couple of kids that attend iLead online because, of course, they travel up and down the coast performing, and so they can't go to a brick-and-mortar school. They attend iLead online. They're being very successful, and they perform along with their older brothers and their parents. It's a phenomenal act. As I mentioned, great act. Go check out the circus. Take your kids to the circus. It's not scary anymore. In fact, it is a hilarious show that is just absolutely jaw-dropping. No clowns at the circus anymore. They got a really funny guy that sort of runs the show. But no, the only clowns that we've got are now the head of Big T's 5 Minutes of Fame. Y'all know my big brother, Big T. He is an executive and philanthropist. He's an amazing father, husband, and dog dad. And now, the man, the myth, the unpaid intern. He is Mom's favorite. Big T, welcome to the show.
Wait, did you say unpaid?
Yes, sir.
Wait a minute. You said just keep waiting for a check.
Yeah, you keep waiting. Hey, you can't complain. I just
nice.
doubled your salary last year.
Yes, that's true. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you? We're on the air, T.
Doing fantastic. I know. I'm ready.
All right. How can you be so ready, Tony?
Because I stay ready, so I don't have to get ready.
There we go. We jumping straight into trivia, or have you got advice for us? What are we doing?
Well, you brought up a fumble. You fumbled the fact about Circus Vargas, the infamous creator of the butt fumble. There was some news with him last week. I don't know if you heard about it. Mark Sanchez, former NFL quarterback, got himself into a little bit of trouble in Indiana.
Well, yeah. The initial story was that he had been stabbed. You talk about the start of a rough week, but there was a little bit more to the story, wasn't there, Tony?
There was a little bit more to the story, and I'm not going to go into the story, but I don't know if you heard the breaking news.
What's that?
He has been sentenced.
Wait a minute. I didn't even realize he was out of the hospital, let alone in court, convicted, and now sentenced. Well, talk about an expedited jurisprudence system.
Yeah, judge came down with it today. He has been sentenced to 5 more seasons with the New York Jets.
Poor guy. That's harsh.
Womp, womp.
That is cruel and unusual punishment. Sanchito, why did you do it?
What do you think his prison nickname is going to be?
Oh.
Oh, no.
No. This is a family show.
We already talked about Cal Raleigh.
Yeah. We've had one PG-13 reference per show. We're good.
All right, I do have one bit of life advice, and this is real life, and it's going to be happening to Big T in about a half an hour.
Uh-oh.
Big T has a root canal scheduled for today.
Oh, no.
So, pro tip, I called the dentist on Monday, and I asked them for a discount on my root canal in exchange for not eating cheesy garlic fries, gummy bears, and lifesavers before my appointment. Works every time.
Every time. I love that. You get that friendly discount. You know, I don't get discounts when I go to the dentist, Tony, although my dentist did hire a really cute new hygienist. And so last week when I went, I ate an entire box of Oreos before I went. It was great.
Yeah, good call. All right, ready for some trivia?
We are. So here's what we're going to do. Tony's got trivia questions, and we've got Andrew and Jen. Myself, for whatever reason, I go by Frogger. We will hit our buzzers by calling out our names, but you can play along at home, and, well, this is the point of the show where I usually say you can get the drop on us because you don't have to shout out your name. You just shout out the answer and see if you can beat us, but I don't think you can do it because we're pretty smart. I'm not feeling so confident after the beating that I took last week. We had our guest on last week who she just absolutely smoked us.
Danielle.
Yeah, Danielle was on fire, and she beat us all, but just absolutely blew my doors off. So yes, I'm stalling because I'm afraid of losing again. All right, Big T, let's get to the inevitable.
I want to make sure I listen for his name. What's the new sheriff captain's name? I want to make sure in case he chimes in.
No, it's Delgado and Jen and Frogger. Those are the buzzers you're listening for.
All righty. Hey, Kevin O'Leary returned to Shark Tank this season for his 17th season. What's his nickname?
Frogger.
Frogger.
Mr. Wonderful.
Oh.
Mr. Wonderful is correct. Recently, Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban decided they were separating after 19 years of marriage. What show is Keith Urban a judge on?
Frogger.
Jen.
Go, Jen.
I think Jen got it.
The Voice.
Incorrect.
Frogger. American Idol.
American Idol is correct.
Woohoo.
What? When?
The Golden Bachelor is back with Mel Owens as the Bachelor. What professional sport did Mel play?
Frogger. Cricket.
Incorrect. It's not a pro sport.
It's not a pro sport?
No.
Then what am I watching
Andrew,
on ESPN The Ocho?
Right?
I'm sorry, Andrew?
Let's go basketball.
Basketball's incorrect. Jen?
I'll say pickleball.
Mel Owens was a football player.
He was a football player.
Okay.
I'm still waiting to hear back. I did submit my application now twice on The Golden Bachelor, but still.
One day.
One day.
You'll do anything to get a date, Frogger. The Golden Girls.
They'll have to rename it, though. It's The Doughy Bachelor.
Golden Girls used to have late night talks while enjoying what dessert?
Jen.
Frogger.
Oh. I'm going to go with key lime pie.
Incorrect. Anybody else?
Frogger. Ice cream.
Frogger. Ice cream? No.
Yeah, nuts.
Cookies.
Andrew, you got
No
anything?
idea. Cookies.
Cheesecake.
I was going to say,
All right, we're doing it today. During his snowboarding and skateboarding career, Shaun White's red hair led to him to get
Frogger.
Andrew. Frogger.
The Flying Tomato.
Flying Tomato is correct.
Where's
On the
Shaun
TV
White
show-
nowadays?
On the TV show White Lotus, who is actor Pat Schwarzenegger's mom in real life? What's the real life mom of Pat Schwarzenegger?
Jen?
Jen?
Maria Shriver?
Maria Shriver. Good pull.
Yeah.
What candy melts in your mouth, not in your hands?
Jen?
Andrew.
Jen?
M&M's?
M&M's is correct.
Okay.
Mark Sanchez?
How many letters are in a standard Wordle word?
Frogger.
Frogger?
No, it was Jen.
I'm guessing 8.
Incorrect.
Andrew.
Frogger?
I'm going to go 5.
5 is correct. On the old TV show Lassie, what kind of dog was Lassie?
Andrew.
Oh,
Andrew.
A border collie?
Border Collie, yep. 30 of Bob Ross's paintings are being sold to Fun Public Television. What was Bob Ross's TV show
Andrew.
called? Andrew.
Ooh.
Frogger?
No, I was going to say Happy Accidents. But
Frogger.
I'm going to go with The Joy of Art.
Incorrect, Jen.
The Joy of Painting.
Joy of Painting is correct.
Go. Well done, Jen. I know
Zayn
producer
Malik
Sarah's at
and
home
Louis
yelling at us.
Tomlinson are teaming up for a network's TV show. What boy band were they in together?
Repeat that again. Sorry, we were
Zayn
giggling.
Malik and Louis Tomlinson.
Oh,
Andrew.
Jen.
Teaming up. Andrew.
One Direction.
One Direction is correct. What's the name of Taylor Swift's new album?
Andrew.
Andrew.
The Life of a Showgirl?
Nice pull, Andrew. That must be in the rotation.
Speaking of
It sure is.
Speaking of pulling, I think we're going to have to pull his man
His
card.
car rotation, yeah.
We're going to have to pull his man card.
on that album, her song "The State of Ophelia" is based on what Shakespearean play?
Frogger.
Frogger.
Othello.
Incorrect.
No.
Anybody else?
Nope.
I don't know. Romeo and
Hamlet.
Juliet. Hamlet.
Oh, that's right. Hamlet. Do you know Ophelia's last name, Tony?
No.
Buns. We got time for 2 more quick questions, Tony.
The Rock has a new movie out. What's the name of it?
Oh, I just saw that.
My goodness. Nope. Nothing.
Crashing Machine.
Crashing Machine. 1 more question.
Amazon Prime Day was this week. What's the name of Amazon's voice assistant?
Frogger.
Frogger.
Alexa.
Alexa.
Woohoo! All right, Big T. I redeemed myself this week, but Andrew and Jen, you guys did well. 5-3 to 3. We got to wrap it up. Big T, thanks for swinging by. We'd also like to thank our guest, Daniel Prasch, phenomenal science teacher and lead of the Aerospace Career Technical Education Pathway at SCVi. Check them out at iLeadSantaClarita.org and head out to their presentation of learning. You can see what the learners are doing at SCVi on November 14th at 11:15 a.m. And yeah, want to thank producer Sarah, engineer Jen, engineer Andrew, and thank you for listening. Remember, friends, life is hard, but we're all here to help each other along. Be well, do good, and join us again next week and every Friday, 8 to 10 a.m. I am Matt Watson, and this is SCVi and iLead School's Eye on the Valley on your hometown station, KHTS.